Hello, all my fans, or non fans, as the case may be. It is Monday, September 2nd, 2024, and it's almost Labor Day. I think Labor Day is on the 3rd. I had something to say about abortion. They're always saying, a right to choose versus pro pro-life versus pro-choice. Well, a mother's right over her own body, but that is a fallacy. It's okay to commit of abortion, as a mother always has a right over her own body and what happens in it. But that's a fallacy. For most women change their mind. I don't know what the statistics are, but when making a decision naively, most women change their mind when they hear their baby's heartbeat on ultrasound sonogram. And instead of having an abortion, they find a way to try to support the pregnancy, especially when they're on their own. The states never cared about a woman's right to choose. It's like if the states cared about a woman's right to choose, they would fund safe houses for women to have their children safely, when they've been abandoned by the husband. It's like men need to be held accountable. It's like if they cause a pregnancy, they need to go to jail if they don't pay their child support. If you're following along with what the law requires. If you don't care about the law, then is there really any law at all? And the next point I want to make is, when a woman has an abortion, it's not natural. It's very unnatural, and it causes terrible health side effects in the woman. Like when a child is delivered early, it's like that can cause side effects in a woman, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, problems with sleep, problems with depression, postpartum depression. It's like every time there's an abortion, especially, I don't know, like how it changes during the stages of pregnancy. It's very hurtful on the woman's body, and some women die during an abortion. Do not say that, Nancy Pelosi, do not say that women do not have, it's like, or when a child is delivered, do not say, or when, excuse me, I'll get it right. When there's a failed abortion and the child is born alive, it's like the states are required to take care of that child. There are children there are people who are walking around without arms and legs because they were taken from that child, but the abortion failed. It's like, and for some way, that child was kept alive. Instead of like thrown into a closet and just left to die in a bucket of I don't know, it's something that would burn that child's skin and left to die. A bucket of something. It's like, abortion is one of the most violent things that I know of, because they go in and they rip out each part of that child's body limb by limb. Or else, I don't know, what are they doing? Burning the body? It's like, nothing could be more barbaric. This is not about a right to life. It's like the state doesn't care about a woman's right to choose. It's like, if they cared, they would be funding, they would make programs to allow that woman to have their pregnancy. No, they're harvesting those body parts for research, to put in food products as a flavor enhancer, for cannibalism, biomedical research. It's very evil. It goes to the research on those fetal cells, and we don't need fetal stem cells to cure diseases in people. It's like people have their own stem cells, which certain herbs, for example, the zebrafish eats, similar to us, has perfect eyesight because it eats an algae that grows in Hawaii. And I can't remember the exact name of the algae. It's different than blue-green algae or chlorella. But things like that, and off in Hawaii, the zebrafish exists and has perfect eyesight. And if we ate the same diet that it ate, our eyes would have perfect vision also and would reverse a lot of degenerative diseases of the eye. So there are many things and many natural supplement formulas that claim to regrow stem cells. Astaxanthin, I think, is what the zebrafish eats. So there are ways for people to regrow their own stem cells, to regrow their own brain cells, whatever is lacking in a person, that can be regrown naturally by eating the right diet of natural herbal supplements. At least that's what the research shows. You can't argue with double-blind studies. And there's plenty of them. And so what they were worried about in the Reagan administration, we need to sacrifice a life to save many lives with stem cells. Well, we can regrow our own. We don't need abortions to do that. And I like the Catholic Church, also believe that it's wrong to create a bunch of embryos just to implant one of them, because the rest, I believe, life begins at conception. All those other embryos died in the process. So I don't really know what all those women, those angry liberal women, are talking about when they say a woman has a right to choose over her own body. That pregnancy is her own body. A woman was designed to give life, never to take life. Women are very traumatized after they have an abortion because that's their role. That's the way God made them. It's like, it goes against natural law. It goes against the laws of nature. What it is a more, and when it does that, it's something devilish. In fact, it's been going on for thousands of years, sacrificing children to Baal. Like putting that child on an altar and then it's burnt alive. It's like many pagan cultures did that, and it's in the Bible. And that's basically what we're doing today, to this day. It's a religion. It's abortion on demand. It's a state-imposed religion. The only time I would allow abortion if I was a legislator is if the woman's life is literally in danger because of placental separation, of enough placental separation where the mother is bleeding. And that would endanger her life, and in that case I do allow it. But not in the cases of rape or incest. I don't know what other medical conditions could cause the mother's life to be in danger because of a pregnancy, but they're probably very far and few in between, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to completely comment on it. They say smoking can cause placental separation. Nicotine, I don't know if that does or not, but nicotine is not addictive, and it doesn't cause cancer. It's the additives they put in the cigarettes that cause that problem to make as flavor enhancers, not the tobacco itself, not the nicotine. Although anytime you burn something, it becomes carcinogenic. But nicotine patches, nicotine is in tomatoes, potatoes, and eggplant. It's been shown to reverse cancer caused by snake venom and to reverse or prevent Parkinson's. I don't know if it reverses it, but I'm sure it prevents it. According to a doctor that's on, the link is on my Instagram page on Jared Routson. Instagram, Jared Routson, one word, JaredRoutson, lowercase. Yeah, there is no fundamental. Tragic things happen to people every day, and the government doesn't care. Folks, that's, I guess, a little bit about what freedom is about. It's the freedom to fail. There is no fundamental right in the Constitution to have an abortion. Yes, some women were having abortions at the time. That's not the framers' intent. That's not what they wanted themselves. It's like if they wanted to have made it that a right, they would have written it in. Or it's like they would have, as a universal right, they didn't. It was left up to the states to decide. Just like all the other awful things that were left up to the states to decide. So, though abortion is a states' rights issue, I never understood why the Supreme Court, therefore, had the right to legislate something either to the extreme right or to the extreme left for all 50 states. The Supreme Court was never given that authority. So Roe versus Wade, it was a woman's decision that tipped the scale, and she was really wishy-washy about it. It's like, read her decision. She probably had no good reason for anything that she wrote. It was about population control, and the New World agenda is to control the population. It's like all the bioweapons they're using on us. It's like it's been going on for decades and decades, and boy, did I find out about bioweapon. And it started with Corona. I didn't really have much more to say about the subject, but it is mass genocide and it is murder, and it's never right, even when you have to take a life. See, it's never right. It's something you need God, as to come down and heal that woman who's having that bleeding. As for the states that have outlawed abortion, they have a big attitude problem too. They're too far to the right. They don't allow for birth control, at least not publicly funded birth control. They don't allow condoms. It's like it's like all these politicians say one thing about abortion, and then they obviously change their mind. A lot of them are Republicans. Once they get elected, you can't believe a word they say. It's like, sure, those children go up into heaven, but no society, once they're aborted, but no society has ever survived certain agendas, including child infanticide, because what it is a sacrifice to the demonic world, to Baal, who is the actual demon in Mecca of the Islamic culture. It's like, and we too will be destroyed as a society, as a lawgiver. It's like, if we allow it to continue the way it has been. It's like, really, it is possible to get abortion down to almost zero, almost to the elimination of it. And it's like, there are certain things that could be done, that could be tried if we really cared. The government doesn't care. In fact, we're not even in control of our own government. Our economic system is owned by the King of England, the Vatican, the One World bankers, foreign national interests on our soil, and the politicians have to coalesce with their whims. Haven't you noticed? It's like, and I don't like political talk, but I am against the abortion pill that unimplants an embryo. But I'm not against the condoms, and there is also a chemical implant that can be put in a woman to make her so she can't conceive. Now that is against the Catholic faith. I have not pledged my allegiance to that belief, but even though I feel the same way about that sex in general, it's for procreation, not for recreation. Even though I feel that way, we have freedom of religion in our country, and that's a broad thing. And so I leave it up to the states for how long that they would allow that embryo destroyer, aborter, to occur. It has to be used within the first 1 or 2, 3 months, from a legislator's point of view. Personally, I would never allow my family to use that. It's like, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's like, although the benefit to that is the sooner that child is, that embryo, which is a life, is killed, it's like, the less inhumane and unethical the procedure of abortion becomes onto it. So if it's aborted as an egg, It's a lot less, obviously, a lot less unethical than tearing that child limb from limb. These doctors who are doing it, they're in violation of the Hippocratic Oath, which is to harm none. It's like they say they're trying to not harm the mother, but they are harming the mother in the worst way they ever could. It's true. Those places, those abortion clinics are dark places, and the people that work there are dark people, and they're not God-fearing people, and they're probably atheists. It's like, now, it is possible that they could be born-again Christians, but they wouldn't stay in that occupation for very long, believe me. You know, some of these abortion doctors might be saved. It's like, but what I hear from a lot of them is just atheism. Which is a lie. It's a religion also. It's like, you see, the state is imposing its religion on us. Congress shall make no religion pertaining to the establishment of religion. That's one of the articles in the Constitution. And it is a beautiful day. Yeah, America will not get God's blessing as a nation if it condones abortion, promotes it, or allows it as just a means of birth control. It's nice those children got to go to heaven. That's the one thing. Of course, if you're a Catholic, you don't believe children go to heaven automatically. But to me, that's just a dogma. It's just a saying. It's not the truth. Because the angels come down and gather up that child, and it is taken to heaven to be with its maker and with the Savior, their Lord, Yehoshua, the Messiah, Joshua, the Christ, Yeshua, Ben David. So, the Lord is returning soon. I have set a date. No man knoweth the day or the hour, but I do know the day or the hour. Well, within a month or two, when in general, based on logic, on September 24th, 2031. I have not seen a vision of it. I can't correlate the weather pattern to anything I've seen, but according to all information the Bible has given us and the signs we're seeing, the 7-year Great Tribulation starts this month, probably towards the end of this month, probably September 22nd, which is around a Jewish holiday a lot of times. It's a holiday in Virgo the Virgin, which is the original Revelation 12 sign. Virgo the Virgin, the male hermaphrodite man-king that gives birth to male children. Please pray for I am a Virgo rising, and please pray for my spiritual children. I'm not genetically an XXY chromosome. I'm a hermaphrodite that can create their own child or have sex with a man and create a child. I'm just spiritually a hermaphrodite, and I've been giving birth to children spiritually, and this month is going to be Virgo again. Right, it's funny that it starts the 7-year Great Tribulation and it ends the 7-year Great Tribulation. People who have followed my YouTube channel know the reasons, and who I've spoken with know all the reasons why I believe the 7-year Great Tribulation is starting today. Funny, when the Antichrist shows up, the nation of Israel turns 80. Exactly. And exactly, they were founded in 1948. In May 14th. Well, when they turn 81, that asteroid that we're observing that's going to be visible to the naked eye is going to be seen exactly on the same day, 1 year later, when they turn 81. A generation is defined by King David as 70, or if by strength, 80 years, and then we fly out of here. So they turned 70 shortly after the Revelation 12 sign occurred. And the month the Lord returns, after he's defeated the armies of Gog and Magog. Who are they? Zombies? Like, are they bodies with where their souls have been collected and their bodies are raised to life by the devil, and they are the armies of Gog and Magog, or else how are there so many? They're probably controlled by a computer chip or something. It's very dark stuff. But 3 days after the Lord returns and defeats them, there's a meteorite shower. Not 3 days, but there's a meteorite shower in the constellation of Serpens the Serpent. You know, the dragon waiting to devour the child, which is right under Virgo, between Virgo and Libra. So there's not going to be darkness. Like they say, oh, there's going to be 3 days. It's a myth. There's going to be 3 days and 3 days of no darkness when the Lord returns, and there's going to be a full moon during after that time. It grows into a full moon 3 days after the meteorite shower started. And so I don't have much more to say about the time when the Lord is coming, but it's probably going to be during the day, not at night. So instead of having to clean up the bodies like Israel had to clean up the dead bodies, which could be the bodies in America, anywhere really, it's a cleansing thing, of Islams who were killed during the Battle of Ezekiel War in the first part of the 7-year Great Tribulation within the next 3.5 years. America only has 2 years left at best before that peace treaties are broken, and those two prophets in Israel have to call down fire upon America because we're their enemy at that point. We're supporting the Islamic nations against the Jews. We've been funding nuclear weapons to destroy the Jews. So that white horse rider might have been Elijah that Malachi spoke about, and he's been here for a while, and he probably rid his horse in 2017 and condemned America. It's like, so either it's like if we're destroyed by those two prophets, if anything comes from heaven to destroy America, I believe the rapture happens at that time. If America is the one that destroys America or our enemies, I believe the rapture happens later, not until this Antichrist is announced. So it all depends, I believe, on the manner in which America is destroyed. Do the two prophets rain fire down on America like Sodom and Gomorrah? Or are they not involved? Does heaven drop a bomb on America? A terrible weapon of mass destruction. It's like, or do our enemies get power from the devil and destroy America through nefarious means and various methods like harp technology? There's a book called Angels Don't Play This Harp. Advances in Tesla technology, man-made weapons that can cause earthquakes, basically, tsunamis that can be caused by detonated bombs, EMP bombs that can wipe out all electricity, invasion. It's like being betrayed by our allies in Canada and Mexico. You know, there's a number of terrible scenarios that happen. It's like all you have, but if whatever the case is, to live is Christ, to die is gain. You just have to die for the name of the Lord and not pledge allegiance to what would be leading to the beast system. Do not share an hour of power with the Antichrist. Do not give the Antichrist power. Because an hour of power has to do with how long, I believe, Pluto is in a sign. I think it's in a sign for 20 years. It's soon entering Capricorn, which happened before the American Revolutionary War. And it's a revolutionary thing. And Pluto takes about not 120 years, but 240 years to return to where it had been when you were born. And that to me is what you would call an hour. So the kings of the earth are going to give their power to the beast and share an hour of power with him. Well, don't be made partakers of that. The Lord said, because you have kept my word, I will keep you from that hour of temptation, which shall come upon the entire earth. Well, this is a short video, and that's what I know. From 1948 to the Revelation chapter 12 sign in Virgo the Virgin, shortly after they turn 70. And when the Antichrist breaks his peace treaty halfway into that 7-year Great Tribulation, this is all very political and intriguing stuff. They will have turned 80. 1 year after they turn 80, that wormwood from the book of Revelation asteroid will hit the earth. They'll try to shoot it down. But it'll turn into dust, and it'll contaminate all the waters. I don't know, is it radioactive? It's like something very awful. It's like 1/3 of the waters will be contaminated. What does it say exactly? These Bibles that we have are all saying different things. They're all mistranslated. So which one is the correct one? Maybe the Geneva Bible? I don't know. When it comes to the New Testament, we're lucky to have the book of Revelation. It almost didn't make it in because might have been considered heretical by the Holy Roman Empire at the time. So we're very fortunate to have it, but we still would have had the book of Daniel. And the book of Daniel and what King David, who will be the king on the throne during the millennium, under the Mashiach's Joshua ben Joseph and Yeshua ben Joseph and Yeshua ben David, probably John the Baptist, because they're both in line to receive the throne of their father David. And Yeshua had said, "I came to do the will of my Father." He was referring not just to God the Father, but to the law of the prophets and to King David, his father. And when you receive something royal, it has to, in Jewish law, it came through the dad, but in actuality, it's through the mother that you get your royal lineage, they say. And I don't have much more to say other than things are going to start happening fast after the end of this month. I'm wanting to see who those two prophets are and how America is going to react to them, because how we react to them depends on our survival. Whatever harm we wish to inflict on them will come back to us, come back to anyone who tries to kill them, will die in the same manner in which they had wanted to cause their death. So, I never thought in my lifetime that I would be able to possibly live until the Lord returns, but the point is not to stay here until the Lord returns and wait for that tree of life to come down, which is promised from Adam 5,500 years after he left the garden, that tree of life for the nations to eat of, which is the healing of the nations. The point is to get raptured out of here, to be at the Lord's Supper. About 10% of Christians, the angels will leave ungleaned in the field. They'll be left behind at least. Are they counting on their own righteousness to save them? Because grace is getting something you can't earn and you don't deserve. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, not seen. And we're only saved by the Lord. His finished work on the cross when he said it is finished. We're saved by faith alone, by grace alone, by Joshua alone. Jesus is a Greek name, so I don't use it because it reminds me of Zeus, and Zeus is part of the beast system. Islam is part of the beast system. Do not worship Islam. All religions do not lead to the same path of salvation. It's like, they're not love. And that includes polytheistic religions such as Mormonism or Jehovah's Witnessism. Well, I said what I needed to say, and I am a PhD in eschatology, and my credentials started at Boise State University. And no, I didn't finish it at the university, but I did finish what I started at home. And to get that title is not an easy thing to do, though, let me tell you. But my dream is to be an educator, and so getting a degree title is not impossible for me. All the things I learned since social media became a thing. The Earth is flat. I can prove it with the moon using geometric moon theory. I didn't know the first Adam and Eve were black. The races were probably confounded at Babel, so they were not just speaking a different language, but their ethnicity was changed from a black African. It's like Shem, Ham, and Japheth were black. The seed of Cain, the serpent, is survived on the ark with Ham, but with Ham. Maybe Ham's wife was a descendant of someone from Cain. I learned about the Cave of Wonders, which Adam and Eve lived in, and their descendants from Noah. It's an apocryphal thing. I learned about the bosom of Abraham, a place between hell and earth, where the Jews went before the cross. But if they didn't believe that Yeshua was their Lord, it's like those who crucified the Lord. If they never believed it, it's like they wouldn't have it's like they wouldn't have been saved because, when he was resurrected, that bosom of Abraham was closed and the cross was put there to keep people out because of wicked ministers, which there are plenty of. It's like they talk about, are you a good person? Are you doing what you should be? That has nothing to do with grace. That's the law of Moses. The law won't say to you, why did the Jews get left behind at the rapture of the Lord's church in heaven? Because animal sacrifices. Paul said, once you become a Christian but you return to animal sacrifices, the law of Moses, being a Jew, it's like there remains no more sacrifice for sin. So it's like a Jew has to put their faith in the cross and not in animal sacrifices, because animal sacrifices were done by the tribe of Levi. It's like they had a specific power and authority and purpose for what they did. We don't have that power, authority, or purpose, and it's not sufficient for us. The only sufficient sacrifice for our salvation is the Lord's finished work on the cross when the Lord said it is finished. And so that's kind of an idea of what's going on. Don't trust anybody now in these days that we're in. But happy Monday to everyone. And really beautiful out. It's a red letter day. The sun is shining. Because during the second part of the 7-year Great Tribulation, the sun is going to be scorching people. And the moon is going to turn dark into blood. 1/3 of the stars are going to fall from the sky. 1/3 of all mountains and islands will be gone. A lot of great earthquakes. 1/3 of sea life will be gone. 1/3 of plant and animal life will be gone. So this idea of 1/3, well, it represents a lot the 1/3 of the angels who rebelled against God and followed Lucifer. Lucifer is nothing to play with, nothing to toy with. Not even the angels dare to... Not even the angels, such as Angel Michael, they do not dare to confront him directly. It's like only through the Lord can the devil be defeated, and nobody can stop this. This is being protected by God. It's like the 7-year Great Tribulation, the demonic forces. If the Antichrist is killed, he'll come back to life. It's like you really, literally would have to destroy his body, because all he is a man. But one of those devils, I don't know who it is. Is it Nimrod? Is it some demon in the abyss? Rising out of the abyss, rising out of, what do they call the phrase? It's just a name for the destruction of planet Earth, in a way. The destruction of nature, the destruction of life, that causes a spiritual imbalance and gives power to the enemy. So, what I'm saying is, these powers, principalities, and dominions are protected by God. It's like nothing can stop them. It's like in the end, only the Lord has the power to stop the devil and the Antichrist from ruling the world. And if they were to rule the world for much longer than that 7 years, or 3.5 years at the end, there would be no life left alive, and everyone would be a robot. There would be no more humanity, no more human life. Because that mark of the beast, though, whatever it is, it's not just the number of his name or worshiping the image of the beast, but the mark connotates the RFID microchip hooked up to 5G that can control your thoughts and monitor your thoughts. So it's like there is, if you're not worshiping the beast all day, it's like there is no hiding that fact, and they can make that chip explode on you. It's going to leak the lithium, as we know, the lithium-ion battery that's in it. That's why they get great boils at that time. But there's many other plagues that come upon anyone who takes the mark, including these scorpion creatures that sting anyone who does not have the seal of the name of the Lord in them. Or perhaps not that, but they have the mark in them. It's like, because the only people who are safe during that time are the people who have the seal of God in their forehead. The 144,000, which I believe are Jews in Ethiopia. They're the original Jews. They're all black. Notice that. Yeah, Abraham was told his descendants would be in slavery for 400 years. The Africans who were brought over to America, their slavery ended in, guess what, 2017. That was 400 years when the transatlantic slave trade started. King James was black, and he should have known better than to allow slavery to happen. He was from Scotland. He wasn't white. He did the King James Bible, and he mistranslated it. Also, it's like, so it wasn't the blacks who were cursed for 400 years. It was the white people who intermarried with the blacks, the slave owners who had children with them. Thomas Jefferson, for example. It was the subjects of King James who were cursed for 400 years. I don't think other European countries, such as, I don't know, Sweden and whatnot, I don't think they were cursed. But so thank goodness that curse has been lifted, because whites are no longer ignorant about God anymore, and so they cannot remain cursed. Whites in America. It's like that America, probably another rigged election, like it was last time, and Kamala Harris wins, but expected, but whoever's elected, I don't know if they can save us from what's about to occur. The main thing is, for the merchants of the sea stood afar off, watching the smoke of the whore of Babylon's torment rising into heaven. For alas, they say, in 1 hour has such great riches come to nothing. What hour are they talking about? The hour of power with the beast, probably. So, there are real creatures that have rebelled against God that are not angelic or natural. So that's something to keep in mind. Not just Leviathan, but there are others. And Christians see visions of these creatures, like running amok on earth. It's like the Nephilim will be let loose. It's like the fallen angels are going to be let loose from the Euphrates River. You know, the original leader of the Watchers who created the Nephilim giants in the Book of Enoch is going to be released. He's being held captive in the Euphrates River, which is almost dried up, because the armies of Gog and Magog are going to cross the Euphrates River to get to the Holy Land. Though I believe the original Jerusalem was in the Kalahari Desert near Zimbabwe, legends of the stories of ruins of that place remain. But that's only a theory that I have. Because not one stone of that temple would be left. I think what the Jews are worshiping is at the site of their temple could be Mount Moriah, but those are where Abraham was told to offer a sacrifice of Isaac. Instead, the Lord gave himself as a sacrifice, symbolically, by giving Abraham a ram to sacrifice. Not one stone of that temple will be left. So what we're looking at in the present Jerusalem is nothing more than a Roman fort, because we cannot even find the ruins of that mythical city that two people, including the great-grandparents or grandparents of Elon Musk, had gone in searching for. So 200 years ago and maybe 400 years ago, there was reports of that city. We cannot find any remains or any trace of those stones, that stone-walled city in the Kalahari Desert. So there's a lot to think about and research, but those are only secondarily things to the cross. If it's not the cross, run from it. A Christian cannot lose their salvation. Don't ever say that because the enemy has persecuted you to make you think like you're in Islam, that which is the beast system, by the way, leading to the beast system. That devil imprisoned in the Kaaba was released 200 years after the cross. It was the price that God had paid and defeated that religion. The Antichrist, he just wants all the worship in the world. The devil is going to give him the devil's power so that he can obtain it. But Christians know what to look for, though in the last days even the elect can be deceived, and the world sent a strong delusion upon men. Is that animal sacrifices? Is that the strong delusion that was sent upon men in the last days? I might be in my final moments also, but America is in its final moments. Those who fear they'll get left behind at the 7-year Great Tribulation could, get on a cruise ship and go into seclusion. The rich people are going into hiding in Hawaii, they say on YouTube, in underground bunkers. But they will reach a point where those people have to receive the Lord as their Savior, even if they survive. Or they, like the rest of the world, will get thrown. If they're not converted, like Israel will be converted as a nation. Israel includes the 144,000 Jews in Ethiopia and the white Hasidic Jews who are not the original Jews in Jerusalem. If they're not converted as a nation, it's like they risk getting thrown into the lake of fire too. And then the millennium comes, and at the end of the millennium, there's rebellion, but the lifespan of the original people is only 1,000 years anyway, because no one lives longer than Adam. Let me tell you, and Adam gave up 70 years of his life. He lived to be 930 instead of 1,000 years. Some of his children lived longer than him, therefore. He gave up that time so that Israel could be a nation for 70 or 80 years. And that King David's throne could continue. The king who would be who the Savior would come through. And as for me giving spiritual birth, there are two ways in which the Savior can come into the world. Through Israel, through the nation of Israel, or through Mary, a woman. But there's a third way, and that's called a male hermaphrodite. But it's not an official way, because it was never given any consideration. So the Messiah can come through a male hermaphrodite, especially. Can you imagine a Virgo hermaphrodite, someone with a rising sign in Virgo? You know, Leo, Virgo, Libra, all three of them are required to make that sign occur. Can you imagine if there was a male hermaphrodite with an XXY chromosome who was also born spiritually as a hermaphrodite? So there would be a way for the Savior to come if there was not a nation of Israel. And of course, your rising sign depends on the time of day you were born. And whether a Virgo can give birth depends on if they're a Christian. And spiritually, it depends on if they're a Christian. If I had not left Mormonism and become a Christian, I never would have conceived spiritually. And we're talking about maybe just 4 children. I hope they weren't turned into the 4 horse riders of the apocalypse. And it's like, please pray for my spirit children, that they will be let out of the beast system, that they've been confiscated by some of them perhaps, because there was a UFO sighting. Have you heard of UFO abduction? A few nights after my birth, when I gave birth spiritually, it's like I did spot a UFO, and I recorded it and put it on YouTube that night. It's like, but whether a Virgo can conceive depends on the time of day they're born and how they're aspected by what planets. And there has to be a planet in the tummy of Virgo that goes retrograde when they're at their birth. For me, that was Pluto retrograde. You know, Venus, the moon, the sun, they never go retrograde. But the other planets do. It means they move backwards in the night sky. Jupiter in 2017 bounced off the belly of Virgo. It went retrograde. It bounced. If you watch the images of it moved into the tummy of Virgo, the male hermaphrodite man king, and then it went backwards and bounced right on the top of that constellation line of the stomach and then went back down. It did not go through the stomach back to the neck area. So experiencing it for myself, I have a little credential to say what I am, but please pray for Pluto and me, who I named John, the life bearer, and the other ruler of Scorpio than Pluto, Scorpio being just 7 degrees before Ophiuchus makes it muted, is Mars. And it's like, so pray for Hermes, and that they will not share in the hour of power, and that they will be kept from the evil one during the 7-year Great Tribulation. Because if John, the life bearer, has been taken over in any way, it's like, then his spirit is stuck in the 3rd heaven or something. It's like, pray that at age 70 or 80, that he'll be able to pass away peacefully and join his maker. Because anything from me, it's like, so Adam and Eve, the theory is that when they ate of that fruit, they conceived two beings, one from the seed of the serpent, and one being their first, which was Cain, and then one from the woman, which is Abel. So the serpent shall bruise the heel of the man, but the man shall crush the head of the serpent. So that's the powers that we've been fighting against since creation. I believe children between that Revelation 12 sign taught us a lot. If you look at the chart of it, all the upper planets on it are in retrograde, the outer planets are in retrograde, but all the personal planets are direct, and they're all below the chart. They're on holidays. It's like those, all of those planets are on religious holidays, including Christmas, Passover, Easter. The moon was full in Pisces before it moved into Virgo. It became dark at the crown of Virgo and dark throughout the body until it reached the feet of Virgo, and then it became light again. That's nothing like that has ever happened before in all of history. The way that sign happened, and what we learned from that is when Jupiter, that baby, and Jupiter has 100 moons plus asteroids and other things in it, which I believe represent Zeus a lot. Zeus in mythology, and Zeus is the devil according to the Lord, because in Pergamon, those Zeus temples, the seat of Satan is in Pergamon. So all those Greek temples, well, that's Zeus. It's like, and that's who Mormons are inadvertently worshiping, even if they don't realize. Their problem is they claim to be a Christian denomination. They were never founded as a Christian denomination. And they're leading a lot of people astray, perhaps even away from their salvation. So get out of Mormonism while you can. You cannot have any middle ground during the 7-year Great Tribulation. You cannot practice a God religion, like you're going to become a god. It's like Joseph Smith is a god. It's like they're going to have their own children. It's like marriage continues in heaven. We're told that it doesn't by the Lord in a parable that he gave. That child was born 1 year after it entered Virgo, and it was born into Libra, which is a female judge. There are female judges in Greek mythology. 1 year later, at 1 year old, that child is in Scorpio. At 2 years old, it's entered into Sagittarius in Ophiuchus. And at 18 months, the tail of the scorpion and the bow of the centaur archer are pointing at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And once again, I don't believe in outer space. Not after everything we've learned about the flat earth scientifically. It's impossible for there to be an outer space. And that is pointing at the 18-month mark where children can talk. Some children start talking at 1 year old, but children start talking at 18 months. It's like, so just follow the progress of that child. Because at 3 years old, that child is going to know the difference between right and wrong, somewhere between 3 and 4 when they go off to kindergarten. And at kindergarten age, they can be very self-centered, selfish, spoiled. They have to know who their Lord is, because if they die without knowing the Lord of the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they do not have a prayer. It's like they cannot enter heaven. But I believe that before 3 years old, they do enter heaven, when, such as when they're aborted in the womb, or before 3. It's like that child starts talking at 18 months and at 24 months especially. So it's all about child development. What we saw in that Revelation 12 sign, it's about child development. The Mashiachs are those planets, which happen on holidays and significant days for a child's life, growing up. And that was my interpretation of it. Because once again, you got Christmas, you got Passover, Easter, you've got the goddesses, Pisces as a goddess, Aphrodite and her child, inseparable from her child, who is it? Cupid, because they're tied together with a cord. And I guess the myth of all of those constellations and what they mean is really interesting. Mythical creatures and holy creatures and non-holy creatures. That snake that Ophiuchus is holding represents the key to immortality, which includes Gorgon DNA, so it's not from God, obviously. Ophiuchus, the healer, the Greek physician healer. So in everyone's birth chart, and the Bible does not promote astrology, but the fact that we have a night sky, the night sky, the sky is for signs and seasons according to the Bible, which, as it does pertain to the nation of Israel and the Virgo, a king was born that day. A lot of children were born that day, or that time when Jupiter was in Virgo. How many of them are spiritual hermaphrodites like me? I don't know, but there will be quite a few. So there's a new creature in Christ, and let me tell you, that man-king can grow wings. He can grow wings. He just doesn't hold wheat and barley in his hand. It's like he has some kind of gift that allows him, and what that means, I'm not sure. So they will be children with a gift. And it's like creating life, creating things like the Virgo the Virgin Jewish holiday where they blow their shofars or whatever. It's a celebration of Eve and creation. And that's when the Lord returns, and that's where it starts, the 7-year Great Tribulation. It's like reproduction in a male begins around 4th or 5th or 6th grade or 7th grade. So when the Lord returns, they will actually be able to be creative people. And it's like those spirit children will not be sold to the beast system or to the kings of the earth. It's like they will be free in Christ. So if you have it in your heart, pray for any spiritual male hermaphrodite spiritual children. I was born at night, not during the day. And my birth chart I've posted to show you what planets were doing what at the time. It was very wild. But it all had to occur to represent what was going to happen on September 22nd, 2017. All of our lives are like being woven into a fabric of a causality. That's Revelation 12 sign. On Halloween of this year, on that very day, I don't know, there's going to be like a house, the planets are going to be aspected in the shape of a house on Halloween, which is Libra. Libra starts a few days before Halloween, I believe. It's not Scorpio like we thought. And Scorpio starts around November 24th and only lasts for 7 days before Ophiuchus takes over it. So the actual days of those signs are given on my Instagram page. Was there anything else I wanted to say? Virgo the Virgin really has to hold on tight to his life. It's like he really has to hold on to his children for dear life in this world. Or any creative force that he has, he really has to hold on to it. Because that dragon is waiting to devour his children in the book of Revelation. In the book of Revelation, it's referred to as a woman. Who grows wings and flies off into the desert for 7 years, 2 3.5 year periods. Well, that time is about to expires this month. Um, and the dragon, seeing that the waters were swallowed up, that he spewed out to extinguish the woman, vows to make war, who is Mars, um, on the remnant of the woman's children. But those who put their faith in the Lord, it's like whoever calls upon the Lord, the Apostle Paul says, shall be saved. Whoever confesseth the name of the Lord with their mouth and believeth in their heart that God raised him from the dead shall be saved. That's what Paul said. And as for Mormonism, it was said, whoever, by one of the apostles, whoever teaches the gospel that we have not proclaimed, let that person be accursed. So Mormonism is a gospel that they have not proclaimed. What accursed means, I don't dare try to figure out what it means, but it's not good. So a Christian can never proclaim a gospel. I don't believe that Jews were ever sentenced to hell before the cross because they were practicing the law of Moses. I believe they went to the bosom of Abraham. Even when it says they shall be cut off from their people, well, even if they committed adultery and were stoned to death, they're not going to be cut off from their people or damned. It's like, as they've been sent to the bosom of Abraham. So the book of Nicodemus is the book that talks about the bosom of Abraham, an apocryphal book. It's like even during the 12 apostles, if a man, according to Paul, had committed adultery, he was excommunicated from the church. This wasn't so that he would be damned. It's so that his body might be destroyed by the devil, so that his soul will live. Soul could live. So a little Bible 101 today. There's nothing else I can really think of saying offhandedly. But God is in control and always has been. Nebuchadnezzar was cursed because he didn't want to accept God being in control when God is the one who appoints kings of the earth. Kings. It's like, but however, though God appoints who rules and who doesn't rule, it's like their law is not higher than God's law. And so God remains in control. The fact that the devil had been given power, like I say, that power is limited in scope, and it was for God's glory, and God cannot stop there from being evil completely. But we as believers can lessen its power over humanity in everything we do as believers, as Christians. But that won't save us or keep us saved. It's like, you must never let your good works make you think that that's a sign of your being saved. Though we were made for good works, my pastor Brad says, who is retired from this town for now to teach somewhere else. But that's when I was baptized 2 years after, 18 months after that Revelation 12 sign, right? Where those intersections in the sky happen. That's when I was baptized a Christian. And that's how I know that my children are saved if they put their full faith in the finished work of the Lord on the cross. Because I did not remain a Mormon. Like I say, if I had remained a Mormon, I could not have had this pregnancy. I became a once saved, always saved person. The two sources are Tim Henderson on YouTube and Matt McMillan on YouTube. And they can talk pretty good, but the basic message is that Yeshua is enough. It's not about what we've done wrong, our sin, that we need to change our ways. It's like that has nothing to do with it. I mean, actions do have consequences, but Mormons teach we're saved by grace after all that we can do. Christians know that our works are but filthy rags before the throne of God and before what the Lord is, who is the only perfect person to have walked the earth. So, saved by grace after all we can do? Christians know there's nothing we can do. Well, I don't want this video to run over too long. I hope if it's not in 8K after all, maybe it's in 4K. And I'm just going to enjoy the day, and please enjoy yours. Goodbye.